Welcome to the conference committee on Senate Bill 19. This is just going to take two motions and then we'll go from there. The House would like to empty the contents of Senate Bill 19, and the first motion is to insert House Bill 2567, also known as the Emerge Bill, into Senate Bill 19. Discussion. Not everybody at once, please. Absolutely. I'll turn it over to Tamara.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 2567 would establish the Kansas National Guard Education Masters for Enhanced Readiness and Global Excellence Program, or the Emerge program. And this would provide tuition and fee assistance for members of the Kansas National Guard who are enrolled in a post-secondary educational institution to obtain a master's degree. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Discussion. Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tamara, I know we discussed this in our education committee. What are the current options that National Guard members have access to funds?
I'm not sure off the top of my head of any programs that are specific to National Guard members and education programs.
All right. The Senate accepts. I would like to make one more motion. I would like to look at House Bill 2494, and I will have the revisor explain it in just a sec. I would like to insert the contents of Section 1, which is page 1 and about halfway down through line 22 of page 2, into Senate Bill 19. So this would be establishing a cardiac emergency response plan for each district approved by the state board. Tamara?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this bill would require the Secretary of Health and Environment to develop statewide standards for cardiac emergency response plans. And then the Board of Education of each school district would be required to adopt a comprehensive cardiac emergency response plan, including policies and procedures for each attendance center operated by the school district. The plan would be required to be reviewed annually, and a copy of the plan would be submitted to the Secretary of Health and Environment, appropriate law enforcement agencies, emergency medical services, and all school district personnel.
Very good. Thank you for that. Discussion. Senator Dietrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, we had this bill in Senate Education, and it was going along pretty smoothly until we had some requests to amend it. The one thing that kept coming up were things like the logistics of it, and I think that beyond Section 1 is where it gets very complicated. So part of the thought at that time was maybe we just needed to study, if we're going to do the whole bill, study the issue, try and get input from all the partners that helped craft this to begin with. But if we're just doing Section 1 and it's really just asking for districts to craft a plan, and we can probably, again, if we have collaboration from all the partners, that should be doable.
Yes,
and I correct in that? Or?
Yes. We had a private meeting. I can tell you who all was there if you want. We had KSHA, we had KASB, we had the state board, we had my ranking member, we had the NEA was there, all the education entities were there, and we came to an agreement on the bill in its entirety, but part of that included Section 1. And some of the heartburn on that was basically the questions from some of our caucus was, how specific does the plan need to be? And we left that broad enough to where the districts come up with that. We're not specifying anything. So when it comes to field trips, school trips, anything like that, it's up to the district to put that in their plan. Hey, if this is what we do, this is what needs to happen. So we're not telling them how to handle those situations. We're telling them just have a plan and submit it to the state board.
Mr. Chair, we agree to inserting that, the section 1 into SB 19.
Very good. Any other discussion? Absolutely. Senator Deitch.
And this might be a reviser's question. So these are two separate issues, education related. Procedurally, they can be combined into one new bill.
So I believe you're asking if they meet the single subject requirement.
I am asking that. Yeah, thank you. You're so much more eloquent, but it is late.
Yeah, so first of all, the Constitution needs to be liberally construed to effectuate the acts of the legislature. Both of these bills do relate to education, so the title would be an act concerning education, and then it would include the Emerge program and the cardiac emergency response plans. So if you all are comfortable with that education nexus being a single subject, then it would move forward.
Senator Sykes.
Again, I have a concern because we're talking about not even, we're talking about a master's program and then K-12. So I think that is kind of two subjects. So again, I feel comfortable with the AED, but with the other piece and combining them together, I do have heartburn putting them together.
Very good. So then either we agree or then I believe we will need an agree to disagree. Or are we in agreement? Or do you need to discuss? Senator Erickson.
Mr. Chair, if you just give us just a moment to discuss. Thank you.
Well, actually, it's not really a question. Never mind. It's a comment. I believe a lot of these student activities, especially when it comes to sports, can actually occur at a university stadium. I've seen that happen multiple times. So in a way, they do, in my opinion, relate because one deals with post-secondary education, and some of these school events can happen at post-secondary education. I remember events in high school going to UMKC and doing events there, post-secondary education. So I think in a way they do relate, but that's just my own interpretation. Go ahead. Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Senate does agree, but we will need an agree to disagree.
Very good. Very good. With that, we'll get a motion to agree to disagree drawn up, and then we will probably run that, as Tamara said, across the floor and then come back to sign it. So with that, we are all finished.